The world's deadliest mountain. A very, very commonly debated topic. There really isn't any answer because it depends on how you define it. But these are a few that's considered K1, K2, Matterhorn, Ogre, Denali, Everest. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about specifically K2 and Annapurna, their death rates, what they say claim to be, that you see in like media or on TikTok or whatever, and what they actually are. So, K2, all its major routes, Annapurna 1. K2 death rate, I usually see hovering around 25%, 1 in 4 who summit, die on whatever, blah, 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 mystical, whatever. Annapurna, I'll see low around 22, high is like 35%. Which, if you hear that, if you don't know anything about mountains, you see a news article or whatever, like, oh, climbers lost or died in an avalanche on world's deadliest mountain. 1 in 3 who summit die on the way down, or someone has to die. And it's just, it's all for clicks, it's all for headlines. And I figured I'd kind of break it down just a little bit, nothing too crazy, but what it actually means, where it's going, and what it means for, I don't know, we'll get into it. Starting off, K2, shitty picture, I know. Since 2021, roughly 400 or more summits and around 18 deaths, which is a 4.5% death per summit rate. So divide that. Every 2.25 person who dies, like 50 will summit, essentially, which is quite a lot and not 1 in 4. And if we go throughout history, since 2021, if we go throughout history, 800 summits of K2 in history and 96 deaths, which is a 12%. So throughout history, the summits of K2 are spiking a lot, especially with it being popular now and more like known about. And it's kind of becoming the next Everest, and it's starting to get pretty trashed and have climbers who aren't ready for it but think they are. But the summits are increasing drastically. I think they've increased like 600 in the last 8 years. And the deaths, there haven't been too many deaths, which, like, 18's a lot. Nobody should be dying, but one of those things. And even 12% that's half of what people still say the death rate is, which is crazy. And this is the Abruzzi Spur, the Abruzzi Ridge, which is the most commonly climbed route and the safest. And a lot of deaths happen at the bottleneck with the big ass Serac, which, falling ice, all that, exhaustion. Last, Annapurna 1. Since last 5 years, 200 summits and 12 deaths. That's a 6% death to summit ratio, which is a whole lot less than like 35%. That's 3 people who die, 50 summit, which is crazy. And 512 roughly summits throughout history and 76 deaths, which is roughly 15% death to summit rate, which is still a lot. Don't get me wrong, this is still crazy. But, if you hear world's deadliest mountain, 1 in 10 die, which that's still a crazy amount. It's like that doesn't have the same effect as like 1 in 4 or 1 in 3. In Annapurna, another term that gets thrown around, especially between these two mountains, is like most deadly and most difficult, like correlating when they don't. K2 is a more technical and more strenuous and difficult mountain than Annapurna, but Annapurna is more hazardous, which means more exposed, more prone to avalanches. As you can see, it's just a steep face no matter where you are in this route. You're always exposed to some sort of crazy hazard. When K2 is, you're always pretty exposed, sure, but it's a lot less, but especially in the bottleneck, so it's the biggest danger. But because, same with Annapurna, it's not quite as climbed as K2, clearly, as you can see with the summits, but in 200 in the last 5 years, let's say those numbers stay the same, these numbers stay the same, in 10 years, well, if the numbers stay the same, it'll be the same percentage, but it's all for clicks. It's a lie. The summits are going up drastically, the deaths are dropping down drastically. It's due to things like fixed lines, better Sherpa support, taking it slow, safe, and it not being the expedition style, alpine style, crazy ridge ascents of, the 80s and 70s, where lots of people were dying, going up the Polish line, the Magic line, the East Face, K2, and on that. Like routine ascents, very, very few deaths, and that's 5.